You read it so many times, I'm reading it backwards now.
I think this is a good note for everybody out there.
He says that I don't pull well on TikTok, so
He doesn't.
It's
It's a fact. It just doesn't pull well. It's called social media for a reason, and it's not selfish media.
I just gotta clear something up. You weren't the 12th man on the field.
Right?
There is no easy way to get anything ever.
This is Mornings with Matt, the Deering Acting Studio podcast, where we discuss the connection between life and acting.
Good morning, everybody. This is the Deering Acting Studio podcast.
Very good, man. Very
I
good.
want to remind you to like, subscribe, share this video, help us spread this light-driven content to the planet. We are going to be getting aggressive today. Today's about war. And we're speaking of fighting, Brian's been fighting for his friggin' life, and the dude sounds pretty good on the phone. I haven't seen him lately, but he's supposed to be on the show.
Yeah.
And hey, speaking of Grand Warrior Masters, Brian Sweeney, what's up, bro?
What's up?
Give me like a solid punch, like a. There you go.
Do it again, though, but give me
Strength.
1 second. Go.
Yo, Braga, you got one of my books over there?
In my backpack, yeah.
Dang
Yeah,
it.
remember
We
he's...
should have prepared it for the shameless plug.
Remember, he's stealing your books. There was one day where we literally, I went through his backpack to like grab something, or I was using it for my play, for a rehearsal, and I like go to dump it out, and every time I do it, I clean his backpack, and there's 10 books in there. 10 acting is my day job books, and you and I both look at each other and we're like, are you like selling these on the side, making a little dough on the day job?
I do
Like,
remember that. That's hilarious.
so funny.
He can make a pretty good profit on that as long as he's getting them for free.
I mean, solid profit. You turn the margin $17 per book. If you got 10 in there, that's over $100. That's
Yeah.
almost 200.
Yeah.
Almost.
All right. So as I said, today we're talking about war. Let me ask you, Joey.
Yes.
Do you like war movies? Not really.
It depends. If it's really well done, yeah. But I'm not like my dad's super into it. It depends on the movie.
Okay.
For sure.
Well, okay. I only like really, really good war movies, but I love a good war movie. Like I'll even rewatch war movies that I've seen. What about you, Bright Guy? Do you like war movies?
I love war movies.
Okay. So sometimes when I'm feeling in the war mood, I'll go back and watch a war movie. I just rewatched the Patriot. Do you guys seen this one?
Oh yeah, I love The Patriot. Mel Gibson.
Yeah, it's a Mel Gibson. It's got Heath Ledger in there. It's a really good film. Anyway, there's a similar theme that tends to run through the greatest war movies, and I think the greatest war movies come from stories based on real life. Agreed?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, and so usually what's happened is one side or the other has pushed to the edge of where you should be pushing, and they just pushed a little bit too far, and they get somebody backed into a corner, and eventually, you know what? I'm gonna fight if I have to, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how it is. So in the Patriot, here's what happens. The Mel Gibson character, I mean, and he was based on a real guy. Like he was a he was a fighter. Like he was an absolute fighter. He was known for his fighting skills, etc. But now he has kids, and his wife passed away. So it's just him raising like 5 kids, I think it was, or 7 kids, or something crazy. And,
Dang.
And he's on like a farm, and he's like, I'm not gonna fight.
I ain't gonna fight.
And
This ain't my fight.
And this is the Revolutionary War, I believe. This is the war where America gets our freedom. Okay, and so America's rising up, and Mel Gibson's like, I can't vote for it because I'm not gonna fight personally. I'm gonna just be home with my family. You guys do your thing. And it was sort of like his older sons, they didn't like necessarily respect it 100% because they wanted to go fight. But everybody else kind of understood. And so then what happens is his oldest son goes off to war, and then he's getting attacked and beat up. He comes running home, and they drag him off to hang his oldest son. And then they kill his next eldest son right in front of him, shoot him in the back.
Dang. I think I've seen this movie. I remember.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a great film. Well, next thing you know, they're dragging Heath Ledger off to go hang him in the public square. And Mel Gibson runs upstairs, grabs like 7 guns, gives it to his younger 2 sons, which are probably like 8 and 6. So to give you context, this is like
Young,
Jack,
yeah.
Jack and Rosalind's age.
Yeah.
Okay. Gives these kids these big old shotguns, and he goes, boys, follow me. And he just starts hauling, just run. Oh, and he grabs his hatchet, too. Pretty cool.
Weren't Mel Gibson and Heath Ledger both Batman at some point?
No, I
I
don't think
know
Mel
Heath
Gibson
Ledger was.
was.
Oh, okay.
No.
Maybe not. I was gonna say that's a crazy coincidence.
So anyway, they're dragging Heath Ledger off. They're gonna hang him, and Mel Gibson he gets his boys together, and he's like, all right, and he gives them the guns, and he says, hey, you know which ones are the captains or whatever, you know, the heads. And the boys are like, yeah. And he's like, you know, they look different. He's like, yeah, their hats are different. Yeah, we get it. He goes, you shoot them first. and then he tells his older son, he's like, and as soon as you're done shooting your first 2 bullets, you preload your brothers, and then you guys keep shooting. And then Mel Gibson hides in the forest, and he's like around different areas. Anyway, the three of them, they basically take down like 25 soldiers.
Dang.
And then he saves Heath Ledger, grabs him. Well, guess what? Now Mel Gibson's in the fight,
Yeah.
and now he plays an integral role in stopping the British from coming through, because what he ended up doing was he ended up cutting off their supply line, and he just didn't fight the war the way everybody had always fought the war, which is just like we walk up to each other and we both shoot until all of us die. And he's like, no, we're going to hide in the forest and kind of attack, right? Okay. So long story short, what happens? He got pushed to the edge, and he fought. Another great Mel Gibson movie, Braveheart. What happens in Braveheart? Dude doesn't want to fight. Peaceful dude. He's seen the horrific things that they can do. He wants to marry this girl. He marries her in secret. And then the girl fights back when she's being attacked by some soldiers. And they grab her, they kill her. And Mel Gibson freaks out and becomes Braveheart. You know?
Yeah.
So the point is, when you're pushed to the limit, you're going to fight. When you feel like you've got nothing to lose, you're going to fight. When you feel like you've got no choice, you're going to fight. And that's what today's topic is about. Today's topic is burn the boats. So what does that mean, to burn the boats? Well, they say in war, if you're going to go and you're going to attack and you're going to take the island, let's say. So I'm going to go and I want to take the island. If I burn my boats, my soldiers aren't going to retreat. There is no turning back. There is no safe place. It's like, head into shore, burn your ships. We're going to take the island because there's no choice. We're either going to take the island or we're going to die.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 choices.
For sure.
Right.
No, 100%. We got some people in the comments. Nick says, good morning, Brian. Astrid says, good morning. Love seeing Brian on the show again. Thought I would throw that out there.
Boom, Bri guy, you got some love, buddy.
Got some love.
Brian, how do you feel about this right now? You've been in a sort of a fight for your life in the last 4 weeks. Can you relate to this idea, like this concept of you're at the edge, you got pushed to this place where there's no option other than to fight? Talk to me about that.
And he got up early and combed his hair and his beard, clearly.
Yeah, you look
so,
sharp,
I mean,
Thank you.
come on,
Really-
man.
Really hard on it. That was actually, it was a survival thing, really. I would consider my situation very similar to Mel Gibson with my hair and what I had to do this morning.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, makes sense.
No, for real. When you're in a battle, and this situation is not much different for your life, it's there's this it's the adrenaline or whatever you want to call it. This thing it kicks in, and you fight. You get up and you do it. And I think the one thing that I would encourage people for on this is getting the right people in your corner for your fight. So like, because so I came in with what was supposed to just be what we thought just a UTI, right? And then turned into be this big thing. And there are parts of it that I remember and parts of it that I don't, in a sense, because I was so sick. But I had the right kind of people praying for me. I had the right people, I had you guys doing their thing. And then when I got to the place where where I'm like physically capable, not just my internal side fighting, where I get to fight now you got to make a choice to fight.
Yeah.
Now you got to make a choice to get out of bed and go walk laps around when you don't feel like it. When there's been weeks of, because they say, being in the bed, like I can't remember the exact stat they gave me, but like one of the days in the bed is like a whole week of like having to like do work to get it back. And so, having you specifically, Matt, in this area has been huge, because you just have continued every time I've been on the phone to ask me, have you done your walks? Did you get up today? Like these things, and they're super encouraging. But that's when you're in this fight. It's like you have to make a choice. Because you take even Mel Gibson and his thing, like he could have still sat out.
Right. Right.
Like he could. And so you have to make the choice to fight. So in my situation, it's definitely been a choice. It's been a decision, and sometimes it's easier than others. Sometimes it's like, cool, let's take a walk. And sometimes I really don't want to. And I'm like when Joey was here, there was one point, one of the walks where I did not want to. I was like comfortable and feeling like kind of laying back. And I was like, all right, let's go for a walk. And so that I would say that would be my encouragement in that way. And then been the most challenging part here is now that you're on, it's less like now that I'm out of this part, there's this whole other battle to face, and you have to make a decision each day to fight, to get better.
And one of the things that Matt was telling you on the phone all the time that totally prevails to the topic is he would tell you to ask fighting questions, whatever those are. Keep yourself fighting in that mindset of positivity and like, I'm getting out of this. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I that concept came up. Thank you, Joey. That's a good point. It came up actually at Brian's lowest point. And it was when he was really low, and your dad was pretty low, and your mom was pretty low, and everybody was feeling pretty low. And I could tell that Brian was scared, and he was really like, it wasn't like a joke. Like he was legit hurt, and he was legit. They didn't know what was up, and the unknown is the worst.
I was about to say, that's one of the hardest part of our sickness is the unknown. Yeah, because it's funny. That we go into a hospital and we have to explain to every doctor like what ALPS is. Right. It's funny how that works. And then they, from their knowledge, treat best they can, but like nobody knows. It's all a question mark. And so that's one of the things is it's like, leave it to the professionals, but also understand like they're going to make some mistakes because nobody knows how to treat our disease. It's crazy.
Yeah. But that aside, you at least know what ALPS is.
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah.
So what I'm saying is he's in a spot right now, or he was, where he didn't know what the end result was going to be. And they were in a place where it could be this, could be that, and the third surgery in, they don't know what's what, and he's feeling weaker and weaker, and yada yada. And that's when I came up with this thing, and I said, dude, all I ask is that you ask fighting questions. That's it. And what I mean by that is don't ask like, how long do I have to live? Bad question. Instead, ask, am I allowed to stand up today? Am I allowed to stand up today? Is there something that you can do that would are there other options for success? What is an example of somebody who's been through this same thing before, who got out of it quickly? What did they do? Is there a kind of food that I could potentially eat that could help my insides? Like these are fighting questions. And in Brian's case, it was literally the idea of standing up. And it was the idea of moving. And it was like, so they were like, okay, we're going to come in for PT and we're going to do that once. And the fighting question is, can we do another rep?
Yeah.
Would you let us do it? Am I allowed? Am I allowed to stand up again a second time? Like, is that allowed? So you're at, and if the answer's no, the answer's no. And that's okay, because your professionals are going to take care of you. You have to trust that. But at the same time, you want to program your mind, no matter where you are, to be asking fighting questions. And that's why I always get on your case, Joey, when you want to wrap yourself into Brian's stuff when he's hurting. And I know it's scary for you, because you do share that thing, but I keep reminding you that you're not him, right?
Yeah.
And you're your own thing, and ALPS has attacked you in different ways. And the fighting question for you is going to be, why am I not getting sick? That's great.
Yeah.
Instead of, people don't know and it's super scary. No. It's like, I haven't been sick. I'm not getting sick. This is great. What am I doing that I need to keep doing?
Yeah.
And hey, here's a fighting question. Maybe I'm over ALPS. Maybe I beat
Sure.
it. Maybe I'm and I told you that. I told you that when you were younger, but way before you started working with me, I said, hey, guess what? You get to be the first person that ever beats ALPS, that ever gets cured from it. And then you get to be the example of that for other kids. You get to be the first one ever. Like, you start telling yourself those things. Those are fighting thoughts, fighting questions, versus the defeating stuff, going, oh, well, the coronavirus is out there and I have this thing, and no one knows, and I got to be super scared, and like all that stuff. Like, those thoughts are not helpful. They just don't benefit us in any way. How do you feel, Bri?
I couldn't agree more with you, man. Couldn't agree more.
So here you are today, fighting, and it's funny, but this is the first time now you've been up before 7 in a long time, probably. Like, well, I mean, you get up all night and all morning because people are coming in and taking your blood. But I mean, like, purposefully getting up, getting going, making a choice to attack, and it's probably, if not the first day, it's close to the first day that you possibly could have. So what a huge win for you there. And I remember, like, even it was just recently when, I mean, here's the deal. You're a big part of this place, obviously, right? So when you were not here for 3 weeks, it's not like it didn't affect us. Like, it totally did. And there were times when you had conversations with people and I didn't know what those conversations were, et cetera. And so then I'd have to, like, figure it out. Well, for 3 weeks, I wasn't able to just call you and be like, hey, so when it comes to so-and-so, what did you say to them? Like, you just weren't there, right? So it was a few days back now that the first time I was able to go, hey, your brain's back. Cool. Like, I could hear it. And I was like, so-and-so client, like, I don't understand their chart. Like, what's going on? And you were able to run me through it. But what's interesting is we talked about this person for probably 15 minutes, and you were exhausted from the amount of thought it took just to remember that person and, like, go over that with me. But that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, that's you attacking the brain and going, like, okay, I'll do. And I heard it. And I don't know if you remember, but I was like, all right, rest, dude. I can tell you're mentally exhausted. Go to bed. But I was also like, I wasn't sorry that I did that, because I'm like, we're exercising the brain here. Like, this is great. We're pushing forward in a certain way. We're asking those fighting questions.
Yeah. It feels good for sure to have that back and sort of be back in that sort of way. And it's been super encouraging again to just be in the position that I'm blessed enough to be in, to be able to work in the way that we work and do what we do. Because there's like, I'll just take it outside of even the work aspect. Like, there's one thing, everybody thinks that you want to just go sit down and just lay and watch Netflix or whatever, you know, like, oh, that sounds awesome. It's awful. It's like the worst in the world. And especially for someone like us who works pretty dang hard on the norm,
right,
and like enjoys that, like that. So honestly, I was looking like, hopefully I'll get out of here on Wednesday. The thing I'm most excited about is just like having doing stuff like this and having chances to get on and look at guests and set some things up. And there were certain people who were concerned about that and that idea, and like even just like working too much or whatever. And I was like, you know, this is exactly what I need. You know, it's the opposite of that. So
You got a doctor that just came in?
Yeah, would you have a minute right now, or should I come back?
No,
yes,
take the doctor call. Hey, hello, doctor. You're live on the Mornings with Matt show. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. Hey, what's up?
All right, you take care of our boy Brian. Brian, we'll see you in a second. Okay, just you can just mute us over there.
I knew that was gonna happen at some point.
Dude, that's
I just
amazing.
told him. He was like, well, maybe we'll just do audio. And I was like, nah, bro, just like mute yourself. We'll bring attention to it. It's good.
So I want to.
People want to see your face.
I want to lay down a couple quotes from Tony Robbins because I was getting inspired by him this morning. He has a few really good speeches on burn the boats, and I love some of the stuff that he has to say there. But one of his foundational principles is this idea, and so rather than quoting him, I'll kind of give you the idea, but I did get it from him. This concept of change is automatic, but progress is not. So in other words, the world is going to change. Your life is going to change. Things are going to change. You're going to get older. Like you're going to change. Your body's going to change. Your mind is going to change. You know, you're going to get slower. You're going to get older. You're going to get grayer. You know, the change is going to happen. Politics are going to change. You know, laws are going to change. The environment is going to change. Your neighborhood is going to change. Change happens automatically. You don't have to do anything for change to happen.
Yeah.
That's automatic. And what he says is what's not automatic, though, is progress. So you could stay the same while everything else changes around you. And guess what? You're going to be lowering yourself. Like
For sure.
You're going to be coming down. But if you progress, ideally progress forward at a rate that's faster than the change that's happening around you. It's almost like this. Like, he didn't say this, so I'm going to take credit for this one. I see it. I just started picturing this idea of progressing ahead of the change, being like being a surfer on a wave. And if you don't keep progressing to stay in front of the wave, you're going to get eaten up by it, and you're going to get slammed down to the ground. You're going to be over. But if you can keep progressing, you'll keep going faster and faster and speeding up, and it's like this never-ending wave that's going to keep coming. But you have to keep progressing. As soon as you slow down, you start getting eaten up by the wave.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great analogy. There's nothing scarier than a wave, by the way. It's really cool, but you're just at the power of like the earth and like God and like.
Dude, have you
Like,
ever been
there's-
slammed by a wave?
Oh, dude, 1,000 times. It is the most scary thing every time it happens.
You ever been
get-
slammed to the bottom of the ocean?
I don't know about that. I probably. I mean, I feel like I've hit bottom when I got like thrown down, but it's not like I go mega deep. Like
Yeah. So
I've never been mega deep in the ocean.
So I've been I've been surfing. I've been a lot of boogie boarding kind of thing, and I've you know been out in the waves and whatnot. I remember there was a time, and this helped me have a very deep respect for the ocean. And I mean I already did,
Yeah.
but I'm a good swimmer. I won state when I was in grade school for the butterfly. So I mean I know how to swim, and I wouldn't say I'm a great swimmer still, but I'm competent, right? Well, I think I was in college or like late high school, and a wave caught me. spun me around and slammed me against the bottom of the ocean. And I just remember hitting it. Poof. And I went, and I was so discombobulated, I couldn't tell which way was up. And that was the scariest thing, because I'm trying to swim, I'm trying to get out, but I don't know what direction to go. And that like freaked me out. So yeah, waves are very, very powerful.
For sure.
But having said that, so is change.
Yeah.
Change is powerful. Change will eat you right up and it will spit you out. Mm-hmm. If you don't move, if you're not ahead of the change, if you're not listening and taking care and progressing forward, change is going to eat you up.
Yeah, it was interesting. We were at the golf course yesterday, me and my family, and it's Rolling Hills out in Tempe, and it goes kind of up and down. It's along the Camelback Mountain that has the zoo against it, and it's like you can see across to Tempe Town Lake. And we were up on one of the high rises, and my brother, he went to ASU, and he was like, it's so crazy, like, looking around, none of this was here 5 years ago. He was like, I used to run this path like it was just the mountain and the golf course and the zoo. And then you look across, and there's, like, the new State Farm building in front of the stadium. There's duplexes everywhere, like, and it's crazy because there's not any space anymore. There's buildings everywhere, all types of new buildings, whether it's corporate offices or condos or whatever, and none of it was there 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's just that idea of like this place that was completely blank is just filled now. Mm-hmm. It was crazy when he mentioned that, because I thought back and I was like, you're right, like none of this was here, you know?
So change is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Progress, though, is not guaranteed. Are you progressing personally? Mm-hmm. Are we progressing as a society? You know, are we progressing as a people? Are we progressing as a studio?
Yeah.
Are we moving forward? That's the question we always want to be asking ourselves. Otherwise, what you're doing is you're playing defense. You're always playing catch up. So the world changes and you're trying to catch up to the change instead of you progressing forward and catching the wave of change.
Yeah.
Which can be very cool.
We talked about this yesterday with the Chaos Troupe did their first hour show this Saturday, and that's a really, really hard thing to do.
Good job, by the way, Chaos team.
Yeah, and you just talked about it, but we got a sale off of that. So, like, even if it didn't meet our standards, we talked about this yesterday, even if it didn't meet our standards, even if it didn't meet their standards, like, everybody went home happy and the momentum kept going.
Somebody got curious about our place.
Yeah.
Somebody was like, there's an energy here. There's something special in this building. And I came in, I laughed, I had a good time. These are good people. I want to learn more about this place and see if it might be right for me. And so they signed up for an audit, and we'll see how that turns out. But that's just a testament to the night.
Yeah.
And the night was 100% a success.
Yeah, it was so cool. So cool.
All right, so for those of you who are tuning in live, thank you. And I've got a question for you if you want to throw this into the chat. And I'm curious for you and for Brian, for you and Joey as well here, if you have thoughts on this. And you may or may not, so it's fine if you don't. But I'll lay my own out first to give you some time to think about it. So when was a time when you were faced with like a do or die situation? Like you're faced with like, I'm backed in a corner. So here's two examples. Here's the first example is with a dog. I had a dog named Buddy, and Buddy used to get picked on all the time by this other dog in our family. And he would get nipped at. The other dog was smaller than him. It was a little terrier and would just nip at my dog. And my dog was a black lab German Shepherd mix. He was a tough dog. But he wasn't like aggressive, but he could fight.
Yeah.
He was scrappy. He was like me, scrappy. And so he'd get nipped at. He wouldn't do anything. He wouldn't do anything. Well, one time we get home, my mom had locked the dogs in a room, and the other dog, who was always nipping at my dog, was found. He was barely still alive. It was really sad, but his throat was open. My dog had essentially killed him, and he was just laying there underneath the desk, and you could tell based on the blood stains. I know this is kind of gross here, but you could tell by the blood stains on the carpet that he had pinned my dog underneath the desk, and my dog was faced with a fight or flight moment where like I got no choice. I can't run. I can't get away. You're forcing me to fight back. There's nothing I can do. I either fight back or I die. And it's one of us is going to die. We'll find out who it is. And my dog happened to win that particular fight. But when you're backed into a corner and it's like I got no choice, that's what Burn the Boats is all about. It's like you put yourself in a position where like I'm going all in. So there's been a few examples here at the studio where me as a business owner, I've put all my own savings in. I've put all my like resources, everything I had on the table a couple times, probably upwards of 5 times, where I'm like, everything I have is into this thing. It's like this thing is gonna work or I'm gonna die trying. Like that's the idea. And that comes to like rebuilds that we've done. It comes with like all kinds of different things that we've done. But I'm talking about like put it all on the table and said, I'm putting all my chips in. Psh, I'm all in. Let's go. And when you're in that place, it's incredible. It's like the dog fighting, right? Like the you summon the strength to fight in a way that you've never fought before, and you think in a way you've never thought before, because you know if you don't fight, if you don't push, if you don't find a way out of the position you're in, you could potentially die. You will die, or whatever, your dream will die, whatever it is. And so you burn the boats and you go, oh my gosh, I have no safety net right now. I'm going to go all in on this thing and I'm going to attack. So I'm curious if anybody else has experienced, and so online audience, if you've experienced something like this, if you've had a moment where you've gone all in your life, or you've been pushed against you've been backed against a corner and you felt like, you know what, I have to fight. You're Mel Gibson. It's like you're in this place where it's like, boom, right now, it's either I fight, like I have no choice. Either I fight or I'm gonna die. Like my dream's gonna die. Whatever it is gonna be gone. And the idea here is to go, okay, how do I grab that concept? How do I grab that feeling and bring that into my everyday? How do I continue to ask fighting questions every day? Like I don't have to be in the hospital to ask fighting questions of today. Like when I go to bed, am I asking myself fighting questions? Am I asking myself, how do I get better? That's a fighting question. Am I asking myself, how do I make tomorrow a success? That's a fighting question, versus how do I survive? And the truth is, I know for a fact, probably most of us have been in a place where at least a day, a week, a month has gone by this year where we've been in survival mode. As a matter of fact, even while Brian was in the hospital, there was probably 2.5 weeks where I can't tell you how many times I apologized via email or via phone, and I just said, hey, I'm sorry, we're in survival mode right now. I wasn't able to get back to you. Let me help you now.
Yeah.
You heard me say it on the phone. Like
for sure.
And I use those exact words, like we're in survival mode, period. Yeah. Well, I'm not in survival mode anymore. With or without Brian, I've kicked past that now, and I'm going like now, okay, great. You got through that thing. Now you got to attack. You got to ask yourself fighting questions again. You got to fight, man. You got to fight. Yeah. So I ask you guys, and I ask the online audience to comment here for us. But Brian or Joey, either of you guys have an experience or something like that you want to share?
Yeah, I've got. There were a few actually, but they came to my mind, so I'll mention both really quick. Sure. Because one is one that you want to fix and keep not fixing, and the other was one that helped get out. So there was the first time, not the first time, when I was in the coma and like all that, and I was recovering. One of the things there was when they're getting close to the recovery process, inside of Banner, they had this like their own PT sort of like suite and their own like program. And it's not easy to get into. It takes like a while or whatever to sort of get into this program. And I had it in my mind that I was getting in, like that there was no possibility. Because at the time, my girlfriend, she was about to graduate from ASU, and she was going to walk. And so like getting out of the hospital at that point for that reason, I had to in my mind. Like I just had to do it because I had to watch her walk. Like that meant everything to me. And so because of that, like I was sort of in this spot where I know that's not like a thing that's a do or die situation, but it really was to me. It felt that way, you know? And so I kept doing all these things, putting this stuff in my mind, like fighting. And I had people like you again, helping with all this stuff, even in that time. And so that was just one of those where it was kind of a self-created in a sense, where it was like, this thing's going on and I've made a decision that it's going to happen. And then things fell into place. Like,
okay, I'm going to pause you there because your story is incredible and it's so worth talking about, because the idea here is you created the life or death scenario. And that's what I'm talking about. What we need to do for ourselves constantly is we have to create these things that are going to benefit us. And then what happens is you make it, like you just said, I made a decision. The decision was, this is happening. This thing is happening. You look in front of you and you're like, okay, what's the likelihood of this happening? All right, what needs to happen? Probability wise, I'm probably not going to get there if I don't get into this program, because this program's the best. This program, we've seen success. So now all of a sudden, because of this other why, and because you made a decision, you're like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to burn the boats. Like, I don't care. Like, whatever else you guys got, like, you know, I'll sacrifice everything to get into this program. Am I right?
Yeah.
You get in the program, you got through the process, you fought, and did you get to watch her walk, by the way?
I did, yeah.
Dude, that's amazing.
We got out in time, and you know, was in a scooter, and just got to do it, got to make it happen. So
incredible, dude. That's so incredible. And, you know, it's funny, your scooter. I don't know if you saw. Of course, you saw the show. Lance Brown was talking about the scooter days, and when he mentioned that, it was like I totally forget the scooter days.
The
You know?
scooter.
But what's interesting is, I mean, again, this goes back to your fight, and you know, because I'm kind of a jerko, because I'm always asking the people around me to fight, always, you know, and I want you to do it for me too, but like it can be exhausting. I understand that, but I don't care where you're at. I want you to fight. So if you're like, okay, I could sit up, then I'm like, fight to sit up a little taller. You know, and I just ask the question. That's all I'm asking, right? So then as soon as you're there, I'm like, fight to get up early and get on the show. That'd be a good fight, you know? And like, what's the next fight? Okay. So here you were, and you're on a scooter, and you're like, you essentially couldn't walk on the one foot because of the way it had been, you know, through the surgeries and everything. Yeah. So you're finding a way to still do and still create and still be. And of course, what am I asking questions on? I'm going, okay, well, are there prosthetics? Are there shoes? Can we find another place that's going to get you, like, what do you want? You want to run? Can we run? Is there a way to run? Is it possible? Like, those are fighting questions, right? Like, those are fighting questions. Instead of saying, like, is there a motor scooter so that I don't have to, like, use any energy? You know, two different questions. All right, what's your other scenario, Bri?
Well, really quick, that just made me think of this, like, because of your mentality. And so I want to encourage people out there to just, you know, to watch the show more, subscribe, like, for real, because you need this kind of mentality. You need somebody doing this. And if you can't, then find somebody who will do it for you. You got to have it. Like, I was terrified too. There were so many things. We could go on a list of on and on of things that I was scared to do, and you just made me do it. And I'm sure you were even scared to do. The one that comes to my mind is your car, like letting me drive it. Like, when
I was terrified.
I was terrified of that.
I was terrified too.
You should have been, yeah. But you know, you had more faith and in the idea of exactly the concept you're talking about than fear of what would happen to the car.
Right.
You know.
Right. So here was the scenario, everybody. I kept wanting Brian to think a certain way when he got out of the hospital, and I kept wanting him to say, okay, document your firsts, because that's your story. Your story is not the sickness. The story is the fact that you can overcome things post the sickness. That's what's cool. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, do it. And he's like, I can't drive a car anymore. And I had just gotten a brand new car. I mean, brand new for me. It was a used car, but it was brand new for me, and it was fancy. As a matter of fact, Joey drives it now. And I was very proud of my car, very excited about it. And Brian's like, oh, it's nice. And I was like, drive it. He's like, I can't. And I was like, drive it. And we threw you in the driver's seat. And I was scared. I pretended like I wasn't, but I was terrified you were going to crash the car. And you drove, and it was amazing to watch the smile that came over your face. It was like skydiving. Like, it took you a minute to get over the fear, and then you were like, oh, I can do this. I do remember how to do this. And we did the same thing with riding a bike. The first time you hadn't ridden a bike, and you were like, oh, well, worried about it. And I was like, I kind of thought you were going to fall. I don't remember if you did or not. But I didn't care, unfortunately, about your bodily harm as much as I cared about you remembering, like, you can ride a bike. I know you can ride a bike. I'm 100% sure you can ride a bike. This is a matter of you making the choice to get on the bike and go, fall a couple times and realize, okay, I can do this thing. If I love it and I want to do it, man, I can do that thing. 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool, brother. All right, what else you got for us?
The other story was, and this is why I'm bringing this one up, is because it's a constant, is because it happens a lot when you're sick and you go through, your body sort of kind of goes through like a reset, if you will, and then you have to go back and you have to, part of it physically is like you said, walking and stuff, like things you thought weren't even a thing, like, or a thing, like walking, doing something, your mind says, let me just go lap, like, let's go for a run,
Yeah.
because you don't feel different. But one of the positives of that is it does clear your body, in a sense.
Yeah.
And back when there was like, my joke was always chicken tenders, because that's like my weakness.
Yeah.
So, like, I would just make piles of chicken tenders. And there have been points where backed into the corner, gotten healthy physically through food, and made sure that I was eating the right stuff so that my body wasn't, and this is the best way it was described to me, my body isn't working as hard.
Yeah.
My body is not working as hard to process all this stuff and to do certain things. But instead, now that it's not working as hard, it can do other things and heal in other ways.
And bro, that's not only you, that's all of us, but it's of course especially you. But that's every human being, and I my fight in that same area. Like, I fight the fight all the time. And I can tell you, by the way, you look good right now. Like, you look healthy, you look clean. And so the hard part right now is to ask the fighting question, what do I ask people to bring in?
Yeah.
What do I decide to order from the cafeteria? What am I going to eat? Because I just had 3 weeks worth of cleanse. Anything I introduce to my body right now is a brand new introduction in, and I'm going to decide the trajectory that I'm going to go on.
Yeah.
Right? It's like getting off a fast, I mean, it's so hard to make the right choices because you're like, oh, I wasn't able to eat all this stuff, and now you can. And so which direction are you going to go, And,
Exactly.
And then I always feel this way, to then hold yourself accountable to the fact that you understand you are going to impact the people around you, right? So like, as weird as this sounds, because it should be the other way around, where maybe I'd inspire you, but you inspire me all the time. So if you came out of there and you were being super healthy and I wasn't, and I was watching you stay healthy, it's amazing that you tend to turn into the people you hang out with, right?
Yeah. 100%.
And so if you eat at Chick-fil-A every day, chances are I'm going to start eating at Chick-fil-A every day.
It's yes. Yeah.
It's a crazy thing.
Yeah, so crazy.
Look at Joey. Joey never drank a bubble water before in his life until recently. And I drink a lot of bubble waters. Now Joey has 12 bubble waters a day. He doesn't drink regular water anymore.
Yeah,
which again is its own problem, but
100%. Well, and that's the struggle. So that's kind of why I brought that one up, is just because it's in that state right now. And there was a point where because I went a whole
that's because you're out. Okay, Joey just bragged about the water in his hand, but that's because we're out of bubble water because he drank all of our bubble water in 2 days.
Ah. Yeah.
Am I wrong? Are we out of bubble water?
I actually don't know. I didn't look. I went for water.
You know darn well we're out of bubble
No, I
water.
swear.
Oh, come on.
I swear.
Go look in the fridge.
I swear.
look in
I
the fridge.
believe that there's none in there. I did not look in the fridge. I got a
That's
water.
because you knew we were out.
No.
We've been out. Everyone, we've been out for 3 days. So
He was inspired by the story, is what happened.
what's that?
He was inspired by the story, is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what brought him to the water.
Hilarious. All right. Well, yeah, those are some great stories, Brad Guy. What else? You got anything else for us here before we wrap it up?
No, it was just that was my thing was now there was that like because I wasn't ordering it. There was a whole like 2 weeks or so where I wasn't eating anything at all. So then it was like slowly start eating.
But you're not eating anything. But they were pumping you in with the essentials. Probably you're on IVs, and they're giving you like what you had to have in your body to stay alive.
I believe so. Yeah.
You know, like that's what they do in the hospital. Like they inject you with the stuff that you have to have, you know.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you wouldn't still be alive.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're getting filled with water, you're getting filled with nutrients of some kind. You're getting injected with stuff, and they're like, "Hey, we don't want you to be on life support your whole life.
Yeah.
We want you to be you know, we want your body to be able to do it on its own." So they want you to eat, obviously, so you're not have to be in the hospital all the time. But you were essentially purified.
Essentially, yep.
Crazy.
Absolutely.
Crazy. It's very
Yep.
cool.
So,
All right, so I'll leave everybody with this thought here.
Wait.
What's up?
Time out. Okay, I didn't give mine, but that's cool. There's a...
But dude, you weren't here.
Yeah, I know. I was listening.
Joey's giving me a hard
I
time.
was
He's literally
setting this
not in
up.
the room.
Brian went first. I was setting this up. All right, so we got this this video I'm gonna play here just to like show people that like the journey of like the walking, the running, all that. We played this during the podcast.
You can't just run right off the bat. You can't just start running into certain things and expect results. You have to take it nice and slow. So for those who know my story, I was in a coma 4 years ago, and it was crazy when I came out. Like my toes were totally black, and like they had to amputate them. And the first time I remember that I got to stand up, it was a big deal. It was a big deal to stand. It was like, oh my gosh, but we don't think about it. You know, we don't think about the fact that that's this amazing thing we have, that the amazing blessing we have. We think about all the negative stuff. We think about all the things we don't have. So you start there, right? I stood up and it was a big deal. It was really hard. I did that several times. Stood up, stood up, stood up, stood up, and eventually got so good at standing up that I was like, I'm gonna take a step. Just a step. Just one, that's one. One step, that's it. And I watched the video, and it's like we went to take the one step and into the second step, and after that I was like, gotta turn around because it was so much pain, but it was awesome. It was the one step. You're just gonna move into that one step, and then pretty soon after that, then it's a couple more steps, and there's one step at a time, and then I'm walking. Then all of a sudden I'm walking, and I've got these rails on me, and like I'm using the rail to start to walk for the first time again, and understanding the power behind that. And then I start walking, and guess what? Without the rails. And then you're walking completely normal, and all of a sudden after that, you're then looking at the idea of starting to run. I wanted to run for years now. And I've said I will, and I set that goal, but I didn't just stand up out of the coma and just go, let me start running. Like, it was a process. It was a one day at a time, one thing at a time process. And now that I have this brace, that's the case. Now I will be running soon. So I have this brace, if those of you who haven't seen it yet, like it helps me to run. It helps me to be able to move and do things that I literally couldn't do before. So it allows me to move and do that, and now I'm moving towards that. So again, guess what? I start pivoting and running, and this foot that's had wounds on it, it's forever, for as long as I can remember, has had wounds on it because it has no toes. This wound is healing, thanks to this thing. And guess what? This one is starting to have wounds. It's never had them before, because this is taking pressure off. So now another step is now getting this on this, and they're making one for me right now. But it's like a slow process of just continuing to stay on top of things and do little things day by day and work towards it. And Matt and I were talking today, and once this is done, we're gonna get robotic hands. It's gonna be dope. It'll be like a robot. Yeah, absolutely. But it's one little step. And so for you guys, it's just about making it important to you, making it 10 minutes a day, making it that. Like, it's not hard. You just have to want it enough.
Boom.
Boom.
That
So
was
we got a couple comments here. You want me to read them off here?
Oh,
yeah,
heck
yeah.
yeah.
Let's hear that. Let's hear some stories.
So Luis Polo said, I've had a couple. I was like, dang. It says, one, being caught in a riptide and swept far out into the ocean when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one was putting all of our money and our credit on the line for the purchase of an investment property.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it. So that was like, okay, I want to be an investment realtor. You know, I want to be an investor. Well, where do you start? Well, you got to start somewhere. You got to start with your first one. Well, how do you do it? You got to sacrifice. You got to go all in. And now if that investment doesn't work out, you're Dunsky, right? And you've probably saved and saved and saved and grinded to try to get this egg together to go, okay, and then guess what? You put a lot of time and thought and effort into that one investment property, because if that one doesn't work, you're done. Which is different when you have hundreds of properties and you have unlimited money and you're like, okay, you can gamble a little bit with different things. Well, no, this first one, it's got to work. That's cool. I love that story. And there's another one in there.
There's another one that's a quote from Andrew Carnegie, Jade Shang, and the quote is, put all good eggs in one basket and then watch that basket.
I like that. Yeah, because they always say, like, be careful not to put all your eggs in one basket, and he kind of flips the script on that, and he says, put good eggs in the one basket, and then just keep an eye on it. You know, keep an eye on the thing that's growing. All right, Joey, what you got for us?
Oh, I actually don't know. I'm just playing. No, I was going to say just when we went virtual, that was a huge, like, pivot moment for me and for us, you know. Being shut down and all that, like, there were a lot of places that just were like, cool, we'll be back. And instead we were like, cool, we're going to stay here for 18 hours a day trying to figure out which cord goes where to, like, have a different virtual class. And then we found out, like, now that we do a different style of virtual class, we were like, man, we did it, like, the hard way, like, so hard.
Yeah.
We should have never done it that way. But at the same time, it was really neat to go through that process because we were different. Like,
well,
even if it might have been easier the other way, like, we were one of a kind the way we did things because we were just thinking differently. We weren't going to quit.
Yeah. It's interesting, too, is we also figured out what didn't work. And you can see how far the rest of the world was behind us, because now they're trying what we tried 6 or 7 months ago in the public school systems, and I can tell you right now, it's not going to work.
It's not. They already switched back.
Did they?
Yeah, they're all virtual again.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it doesn't work to, like, try to teach people in the room and also online, and, like, it.
Yeah, well, you at least you need a whole nother, like, format or way things are done. But yeah, so it's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you got anything else for me, Joey, before I wrap this thing up?
I mean, that was kind of it as far as story go. It was just kind of this all or nothing thing where I felt like the three of us just kind of were like, cool, we'll just do what we can. You know, that's all you can do.
How about you, Brad Guy? You got anything else before we wrap it up?
No, sir.
All right, so this is another concept from Tony Robbins, and I admitted I was getting inspired by him this morning. But there's this thing that he says in one of his speeches, which is when people are faced with the choice to die or to succeed, they tend to succeed. So you put yourself in this mindset where it's like, you know what, I've made a decision. I've burned the boats. I'm going. I'm moving forward. I'm going to be successful. I've made this choice in my life. No more. It's a decision. I can't stress that enough. To make a decision to go. Make a decision to commit and to give everything you have into something. And when you do that, success will follow. All right, thank you so much for watching, everybody. This has been Mornings with Matt, the Deering Acting Studio podcast. We're so grateful to have you on today. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, share this channel. Help us spread this light-driven content to the planet. God bless.
Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content. Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content. For more information on classes, private lessons, or professional development coaching, visit www.deeringstudio.com. Have a Deering day, everyone.
Have a chippy day, everyone. Rough.